Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gordon Frayne. We are back with another video. Today, we're looking at Bittensor TAO Subnets. Are they undervalued? And are we about to have a subnet summer? As always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button below, hit subscribe, hit that bell notification icon, and you've got a completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin waiting for you in the description below this video as well. Grab it now, and let's talk about subnets. So what I want to hone in on in today's video is how we're thinking about valuating subnets and whether there is a true undervaluation with all of the subnets in the TAO ecosystem, not just in TAO prices, but also in relation to the rest of the entire crypto market, because there's different frameworks that we've used over the past number of years to evaluate and value different tokens based on tokenomics models. And that's what I want to get into today. And in my opinion, I do think there is, at the moment, some undervalued subnets in the TAO ecosystem. And we could be about to have a subnet summer where we see many of these subnets beginning to outperform in terms of their pricing in TAO terms, but also within the greater TAO ecosystem, we might see the entire network as a whole begin to outperform other AI and layer one protocols in the crypto space. So that's very exciting. But first and foremost, it is important to have a fundamental or at least a basic understanding of the tokenomics of TAO and how they compare between Bitcoin and subnet alpha tokens as well. And so a lot of the tokenomic structure and design for Bittensor has been taken from the fundamental tokenomic structure of Bitcoin. There is a halving schedule baked in. We are due to have the first halving event on the Bittensor network later this year. It's due to happen sometime in Q4, but you can see how aggressive that emission schedule is here over the first few years for the Bittensor network, and then it begins to smooth out over time. So again, what we're seeing here in the very early stages of the Bittensor network is quite an aggressive emission schedule. Right now, as of today, there's about 7,200 TAO tokens distributed as emissions every single day. There is one TAO per block on the chain, and one block mined every 12 seconds on the network at the moment being emitted, and all of these subnets on the Bittensor network are competing to try and earn as much of this share of the 7,200 TAO every single day. We can see that Shoots is the largest subnet on the network at the moment by emissions, and you can see that they're garnering or essentially receiving just under 14% of those 7,200 TAO every single day. And all the rest of these subnets, TAO Hash Gradients, Templar, Targon, and the 100 plus subnets that are now in the ecosystem are competing by providing the most valuable information to the network so that they can get the largest share possible of those 7,200 TAO emissions every single day. So what does this mean? Well, it means that by competing to try and receive those TAO, all of these subnets are trying to compete for value within the TAO ecosystem as a whole. And there was a very good article that came out from Unsupervised Capital here in the past couple of weeks, essentially explaining different ways that we should be thinking about reframing and valuating many of these subnets on Bittensor, because over the past few years, we have seen token dilution in the crypto space wreak havoc with the way that different protocols and different tokens are actually evaluated in the larger crypto sphere. And what this article from Unsupervised Capital is kind of explaining is that, you know, because of that token dilution, we saw many analysts in the space begin to adopt the FDV, or fully diluted valuation, as kind of the core metric for valuing these protocols, because it removed confusion around token dilution over time. If you go straight to the fully diluted valuation for a protocol, and we can even do that using TAO stats if we click into Shoots here, it assumes that it gives you an assumption for the valuation of the protocol based on all of the tokens being in circulation. So we can see the market cap of Shoots is currently sitting at 112 million, but the fully diluted valuation is at 1.87 billion, which assumes the maximum supply of Shoots tokens, which is also equal to 21 million, borrowing from Bitcoin's design. And all of these subnet alpha tokens have a max supply of 21 million subnet alpha tokens. We can see that the fully diluted valuation for shoots specifically sits at 1.87 billion, which assumes the $88 price point multiplied by 21 million tokens. Okay. However, the point that they're making in the unsupervised capital article is that this is not the best or the perfect metric for valuating subnets at this particular moment in time. And there's a few reasons for that. First of all, you can think about the fact that there is emissions happening over time, and due to the rapid emissions curve, at least to begin with, that we looked at a moment ago for those emissions on the subnets, you have a large number of tokens entering the supply, and it's not like they're being held back for years down into the future. Now, it will take years for them to eventually, have all of the tokens emitted. I think it's going to take about 69 or 70 years, but it is much more aggressive during that first period of subnet alpha token launch. And what we're going to see over time is those tokens reaching the market much quicker. And so fully diluted valuation may not be the best metric for actually evaluating those subnets. The second big thing is the staking yield. And again, the APY that you can be generating from staking yield on many of these subnet tokens also plays a very big role in how we should be thinking about their valuations. If I jump over to taoyield.com, we can see some very interesting information. If we click on subnets, you can see many of the largest subnets in the entire ecosystem are giving you 100+% staking APY. What does this mean? Well, again, in the unsupervised capital article, they're making the point that if you're actually holding and staking these tokens, you're able to generate almost 100% APY depending on the specific subnet alpha token, which means that you're essentially able to double your exposure to that asset. Or you could also think about it in terms of applying a token trading at a 0.5x FTV if you're getting something close to 100 or 120% APY from staking that alpha token. And so this lucrative potential right now with this staking yield should also play a big role in how you can think about the asymmetric return that many of these subnet alpha tokens might have in future. Again, if I'm someone that's holding 10 shoots today and I'm staking it, earning 120% APY, I'm going to have the equivalent of 22 shoots tokens this time next year, 365 days from now. Are these staking yields going to maintain these types of levels? No, they're not going to maintain these types of levels ad infinitum, but consistently over the past 30 days, you are seeing the majority of these subnet alpha tokens having rewards in terms of APY in excess of 100%. You can scroll down the list and do your own research here, but almost every single token here is doing 100% plus. You've even got certain alpha tokens doing 700% plus, 275% plus on Vidaio. I made an interview with the founder. Check out the video on the channel about Vidaio and what they're doing with video on demand, upscaling and compression. So the point I'm making here is that there's many other factors that we should be considering when it comes to evaluating these subnet tokens. And in my opinion, many of these subnets in the TAO ecosystem are relatively undervalued compared to the use cases and the real world adoption that they're seeing, shoots included. So again, if we jump over here, we can see one of the other metrics they're calling out in the unsupervised capital article is this sum of alpha prices. At the time they put together this article, that was sitting at 1.8. What does this metric even mean? Well, essentially it means that the fully diluted valuation of all these subnet tokens is 80% higher than the fully diluted value of TAO right now. If I jump over to TAO.app, you can actually see how that sum of alpha prices metric has actually continued to decrease here over the past couple of weeks since that article or this valuation framework was released by Unsupervised Capital. It's decreased from 1.8 down to 1.59. I think it's actually just jumped back up to 1.6 at the time that I was making this video. But the point that I'm thinking about here is the fact that that has continued to decrease. And if we're sitting at 1.59 right now, it means that there is a little bit of fear around some of these subnet alpha tokens and the potential that they might have in future. But we know that in these markets, fear often means a potentially good buying opportunity. And just because you're seeing this metric decrease at this moment in time does not mean that there is not some asymmetric opportunities on the cards. Again, what we've seen is a consistent flow in capital flowing into the Subnet Alpha tokens over the past couple of months. That's what you're seeing here with TAO injected versus TAO reserves as well on this chart. So I think when you're looking at the big picture, and when you're analyzing some of these subnets on a deeper level, and it does take time to dive deep and research and understand exactly what these subnets are doing. I'm just going to use Shoots as an example, but Shoots are providing serverless AI compute, and the amount of tokens that they are essentially computing on a monthly basis is on track to catch up with the likes of Google Gemini if it's projected out for the next 6 to 12 months. And so what we're seeing here is protocols like TAO becoming real competitors as a decentralized AI protocol compared to big tech and the investments that you're getting with Microsoft and OpenAI and all of these other leading artificial intelligence protocols. In my opinion, the value of many of the subnet tokens on Bittensor TAO are very undervalued at this specific moment in time. Again, nothing in this video is financial advice, guys. I'm looking to see what happens 12 months from now when we come back and look at some of these numbers. It'll be interesting to run back the recording and see what we're actually looking at here in terms of pricing. Shoots is priced at 0.22 TAO. TAO Hash is priced at 0.1 TAO. Gradients is under 0.1 TAO. Templar is also under 0.1 TAO. Tarragon under 0.1 TAO. Celium under 0.1 TAO. Proprietary Trading Network at 0.05 TAO. I'm super curious to see how this evolves, how this changes over the course of the next year. If we have this subnet summer, if we see the valuations of these subnets begin to increase in terms of TAO and in terms of US dollar pricing, I think it's going to be very exciting to see how it all plays out over time. I'm going to leave a link to this unsupervised capital article in the description below this video. Make sure you check it out. Lots of very insightful reading in this particular piece. Again, if you're not familiar with TAO, it might be a little bit difficult to understand some of the nuances here, but I encourage you to keep doing research, keep diving deep, understand some of the metrics that they're talking about here in terms of evaluating subnets, and some of those staking yields are what really make the big difference, in my opinion, when we project this out 12 months from now. If you can do a 100% return from simply staking a subnet token that is also ultimately going to outperform TAO on a percentage basis over the next year, that's some pretty exciting returns, in my opinion. That's it for today's video, guys. Again, if you got any value at all out of today's video, please just take 3 seconds, drop a thumbs up on it below. It helps to spread the good word. If you're interested in Bittensor TAO and you want other people to find this video, please make sure to just drop it a thumbs up before you jump out the door. Hit that subscribe button as well. Hit the bell notification icon. Don't forget to grab your completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin as well. It's linked in the description below this video. Check it out now, and we'll catch you in the next one.